We went maybe 50 feet when a large rock slammed into the cave wall right next to me. The rock shattered into smaller pieces, some of which hit me in the face. We flung our flashlights in the direction the rock came from. Welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to Dark Secrets. This is where we tell real cryptid reports in an immersive story format. What you just saw was a teaser of how we tell our stories. This week's story is coming out of Colorado, where 3 guys narrowly escaped with their lives. Do not miss this thrilling story. Let's get into it. I'd like to tell you about me and my 2 friends' story. We encountered what I believe to be the fabled Bigfoot. On a warm summer night in the Colorado mountains, it was a typical camping trip for the 3 of us. Tents, sleeping bags, coolers of food, and at least twice as much beer than we could drink. We parked the truck about 20 minutes from our camping spot. We had to hike to it. There were no roads. We loved the seclusion and the privacy out there, where we could just goof off and drink and laugh all weekend with no eyes on us. Except this time, there were eyes on us. We got to our favorite spot about 3 hours before sundown on Thursday. Got unpacked, tents, sleeping bags, set up a fire, and then I heard the first beer crack, which kicked off the night. We were all pretty lubricated, if you know what I mean, by sundown. Tyler had gotten up to relieve himself on the outside perimeter of camp, just in the tree line. He came back to camp with his flies still down and all wide-eyed, and he said, I think I saw something in the woods. Now mind you, he was wobbling back and forth, his face was relaxed and slacked, almost like he had a stroke. He had no shoes on and his fly was still down. We all busted up laughing, kidding with him that he's already drank too much. Tyler, however, didn't find it funny, and he went straight to his tent. We all stayed up maybe another hour and turned ourselves in. The next morning, as I stepped out of the tent, I immediately realized that one of our food coolers was opened and everything was gone out of it. Now this is one of them camping bear-proof coolers. So my immediate thought was one of us drunken idiots got in the cooler last night and didn't latch the lid, and some animal like a raccoon or a bear got a free dinner. As Tyler and Jake got up, I asked them if they'd gotten the cooler last night. Both of them replied that they don't remember eating anything. I thought that was strange, but chalked it up to we drank a lot and one of us just don't remember getting into it. Tyler seen the cooler and I could see him turn white. I turned to him. You alright, bud? Tyler looked at me with a serious face. I know we was drinking, but I vividly remember seeing something in the woods last night. It was covered in hair and standing on 2 legs. It was 2 or 3 heads taller than me. Now keep in mind, Tyler was 6'4", so my immediate thought was maybe he just saw a bear standing on 2 legs. But Tyler followed up with, I tried to convince myself it was a bear, but it wasn't. It just couldn't be. I could make out the outline in the darkness. It was shaped far more like a man than a bear. It was huge and covered in hair. And now the cooler's been raided? I don't want to be here anymore. I want to leave. Jake immediately piped up. We just got here. And you're ready to leave because you think you saw something in the dark when you was hammered? And one of us left the cooler open, which a raccoon likely found, but you think it was your monster you saw? Come on, Tyler. What the fuck? Tyler hung his head low. Whatever. You're right. It was probably nothing. We sat around camp and visited and did a little fly fishing that day and was preparing for another night of beer drinking when the whole trip really started to turn south. We had a nice fire burning. It was about an hour after dark when a large stone just rolled into camp out of the darkness. We all saw it. We were all just staring at it. Jake was the first to speak. That raccoon found out how easy you scare Tyler. Now he's trying to scare you off to bed so he can get into our other cooler. I chuckled. Jake was laughing hard at his own joke. Tyler was still wide-eyed and staring at the rock like he didn't even hear a word Jake said. I leaned over towards Tyler. You good, Tyler? Then a loud snap. It sounded like a large branch being broken echoed across camp. We all jumped. Tyler sprang to his feet. He was in flight mode. You could see it in Tyler's eyes and the way he was standing, that he was ready to bolt at the first sign of danger. After a few moments, another stone rolled into camp from the darkness. At the sight of the second stone, Tyler leaped into his tent. Jake yelled out, "Knock it off!" and then yelled, "Ah! Get out of here, bear!" He was met with what sounded like a whole small tree snapping in two. "Jake, I don't think bears can throw stones." Jake's eyes widened with the realization of what I just said, and we both dove into our tents. I thought I could hear a little rustling around camp, but for the most part, the night was quiet. That morning, we got up and our second cooler was completely gone. After looking around for some time, Jake found it about 9 foot up in a tree. We got it down with some long branches we had found, and that's when we noticed the latches weren't just undone. They were completely tore off. Tyler, as you can imagine, was getting real flighty again, and that's when I seen the tree. The tree that we heard snap last night, only I was in disbelief. This tree had to have been 7 or 8 inches across, and it was snapped about 4 feet up. There is nothing out here that can do that. As I stood in disbelief, Jake and Tyler walked over and just stared in silence with me. After some time, Jake stood up. "Let's grab our packs, have a look around, see if we can figure out what this is." Tyler immediately rejected. "We need to leave." I remained quiet because I was on the fence between wanting to know what this was and leaving. Jake looked at Tyler. "It only comes out at night, and it's been too scared to approach all 3 of us. We'll be fine if we go together." After thinking about what Jake said, I agreed. I could see the desperate irritation on Tyler's face as he threw his hands up in the air. "Fine, let's march to our own deaths." We grabbed our packs and set out in the direction that we heard the noises, found the cooler and the broken tree. We were just looking for anything, a little bit of fur, tracks, scat, anything to give us an idea what this animal was. It didn't take us long, maybe 20 minutes, and we stumbled across the cave entrance. I grabbed my flashlight and went to take a peek. We'd found a good amount of caves out here before, and most were very small, sometimes only going 5 or 10 feet in before ending or being too narrow to get through. Once I went through the opening and shined my light around, I remembered 2 distinct things. The awe, because this is the biggest cave I've ever found, and 2, the wet dog and skunk odor that permeated the air. I stuck my head back out the cave. "Hey, you guys gotta see this." Jake and Tyler entered with me. Tyler immediately let out a small gag. "What's that smell?" "I don't know what the smell is, but look at this cave, man." We shined our lights around and decided just to venture a little ways inside. The sense of discovery and adventure was just overpowering. We went maybe 50 feet when a large rock slammed into the cave wall right next to me. The rock shattered into smaller pieces, some of which hit me in the face. We flung our flashlights in the direction the rock came from. It was 8 or 9 feet tall, wide shoulders, covered in hair, and the face looked half primate, half human, and it looked pissed. Then I noticed Tyler bolting for the exit, which kicked in Jake and I's reflexes to do the same. As we ran out, this thing let out a growl that made me tremble. As we emerged from the cave, we kept hauling ass towards camp, and to our horror, heard limbs and branches snapping behind us. It was chasing us. All 3 of us could have won an Olympic race. The trees were a blur as we retraced our path back to camp. Once we reached camp, Tyler just kept on trucking. I wanted to grab a few of our more valuable items real quick, and just as I started to collect them, a huge rock hit Jake's tent, collapsing it in. I dropped what I had picked up, and Jake and I took off. Once we made it to the truck, Tyler already had it running, and we leaped into the bed as the tires spun in the dirt. Every now and then, we talk about what happened when we're good and drunk. And all three of us agree. We saw a Bigfoot. And that's going to do it for this week's video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of this story. I'm dying to know your opinions on it. And as always, keep an open mind, and I'll see you in the next one.